grazing guy.
Oh, that's classic. It's so true. That anxiety about eating in front of others. I mean, who hasn't worried about spinach in their teeth at a job interview?
Or spilling coffee all over yourself on a first date.
Exactly. Ray's honesty about her own awkwardness is just so refreshing. But it's more than that.
It's about accepting yourself, right?
Yeah.
Those quirks, those imperfections, they make us who we are.
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
Welcome back to Witter, your go-to for deep dives, especially when, you're short on time.
Deep dives for busy minds, that's us.
That's us. And this month, we are celebrating Black Voices for Black History Month. Today's pick had me laughing out loud 1 minute, and then whoa, deep introspection the next.
A book that can make you laugh and think. Those are the best kind.
Absolutely. So we're diving into, get this, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl.
By Issa Rae.
By the one and only, yeah. Now you probably know her from, Insecure, right?
Right, but before all that.
Before all that.
She was just sharing her story, all those awkward and poignant experiences.
It's so real. It's like you're just sitting down with a friend, just hearing about their life, their ups and downs.
Totally, and she talks about those things we all go through, like feeling like you don't belong, awkward moments, who hasn't had those, and then all the stuff with relationships, family, just what society expects of you.
It's so relatable. But what makes this book so special is how she weaves in her experience as a Black woman in America.
Exactly. She talks about things like code switching.
Which
basically changing how you talk or act depending on who you're with.
Oh, yeah, I've totally done that.
Something a lot of Black people do just to navigate different spaces,
And microaggressions.
Those subtle, but they sting, Comments or actions that just make you feel othered.
Exactly. Those are experiences that are specific to the Black community. But Rae presents them in such an insightful way. It makes you think, but also somehow she makes you laugh. It's this delicate balance, and she just nails it. One thing that stood out to me was how she explores, what it means to be Black. Growing up in a mostly white environment, the pressure to fit in.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Black people can relate to that. That feeling of having to code switch to fit in or being asked to represent, an entire race.
It's exhausting. And it's not just the pressure from outside, but also figuring out who you are, where you belong, all that internal stuff.
Her stories about her hair are a great example. She loved its uniqueness as a child, but then felt like she had to straighten it to fit in.
It's like a journey, right? And I think a lot of Black women go through something similar. And it speaks to this bigger issue of how society tells us what's beautiful, especially for Black women.
It's about taking back control, Defining beauty on your own terms. And Rae shows us that real beauty is about being yourself.
Absolutely. And another thing that I loved her take on relationships. I mean, her dating stories are wild.
They are. From bad dates to figuring out interracial relationships. She just puts it all out there, honestly, and in such a funny way.
And she talks about what Black women face when it comes to dating. Like that story about the guy who was shocked she was on her period.
Yeah, come on. It's 2024. We should be past this.
Right.
It shows how these expectations and stereotypes affect relationships, especially for Black women.
And she challenges those head on. It's so refreshing.
And then there's her ABG guide, Black Women and Asian Men.
Oh, yes. That was a unique take on interracial dating, for sure.
Yeah. Insightful, hilarious, and thought-provoking. Makes you think about race, how we're represented, and just attraction in a world that loves to put people in boxes.
Right. We're all individuals, and those experiences, they're shaped by so many things. Race, culture, how society views us, you name it.
And speaking of cultural differences, we get a peek into her family life, especially her bond with her father.
That chapter, African Dad, it was powerful. I mean, the way she describes how they communicate or don't communicate, all those unspoken things, made me think about my own family.
I get it. It's relatable, trying to understand your parents even when your backgrounds are different or there's a generational gap.
And how she talks about her father's infidelity and how it affected their family. It was heartbreaking. It adds this whole other layer to their relationship and shows how tough it is to deal with family secrets and betrayal.
Yeah, even in loving families, there can be pain, things hidden away. And those experiences, they shape who we are, how we relate to people.
Rae being so open and honest about these personal stories is what makes this book so much more than just funny anecdotes.
It's about connecting with the reader, sharing that feeling of heartbreak, disappointment, and wanting connection. We've all been there.
And we can't forget her take on just like everyday anxieties, like that public grazing guy.
Oh, that's classic. It's so true. That anxiety about eating in front of others. I mean, who hasn't worried about spinach in their teeth at a job interview?
Or spilling coffee all over yourself on a first date.
Exactly. Rae's honesty about her own awkwardness is just so refreshing. But it's more than that.
It's about accepting yourself, right?
Yep.
Those quirks, those imperfections, they make us who we are.
And she even gives you tips for dealing with those anxieties, like that acronym LADY.
LADU.
Loner artfully digesting yummies. For when you just gotta enjoy your food in peace.
I love it. It's about reclaiming those moments, finding the joy in taking care of yourself, whether you're with friends or just by yourself.
And speaking of being by yourself, Rae touches on what it's like being a Black woman in a world that tries to define you.
Right, and it's about pushing back against those definitions, breaking free and finding your own path. And that ties in perfectly to another big theme, her journey as a creative person. I mean, from trying to break into Hollywood to awkward Black girl to insecure, she clearly wanted to tell stories about the Black experience her way.
It's inspiring, right? She didn't let rejection stop her.
It shows you that success isn't always a straight line. You know, sometimes it's about keep creating, keep working at your craft, and just trusting that the right opportunities will come along.
And speaking of opportunities, Rae highlights how important mentors and working together are. She talks about the people who were there for her, the friends, colleagues who pushed her to keep going, the mentors who helped her navigate, the crazy world of entertainment.
It reminds you that you don't succeed alone. You need people in your corner, people who believe in you and push you to do your best.
100%. And I think those are some of the big takeaways from the book so far.
Definitely. Rae's book is hilarious and eye-opening about the Black experience, but it's also universal.
Right.
Finding your voice, being okay with being awkward, and figuring out life, love, and everything in between.
And for our listeners who are always on the go, it's a reminder that you can get so much from a book, even if you only have a few minutes each day.
I'm with you on that. Now let's talk about Rae going to a mostly white private school.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how tough that must have been. Feeling like you're the only one, especially at that age.
Yeah, it's a theme that keeps coming up, right? Feeling like an outsider, like you don't belong.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about race, class, and privilege in America.
And the pressure to be the spokesperson for your whole race. Like she had to defend her Blackness to a white classmate who questioned her taste in music. I mean, can't you be Black and like different types of music?
Exactly. It shows how microaggressions happen every day. It's this subtle way people of color are made to feel like they have to prove they're Black enough.
It's exhausting. And it speaks to this bigger issue of how Black people are portrayed in the media.
It's like Rae saying, hey, there's no one way to be Black. We're not all the same, and we shouldn't have to fit into any box.
I love that. It's a powerful message about being yourself and challenging what society says is normal.
We're back, diving deeper into Issa Rae's world in The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. We were just talking about representation and how important it is to show the many sides of what it means to be Black.
Not just fitting into this one tiny box that people create, right?
Right. And I think Rae does an amazing job of this, showing how diverse Black experiences can be through her own stories and the characters she brings to life.
It feels like a celebration of Black life.
Mm-hmm.
The joy, the pain, the funny moments, and the vulnerable ones too.
It's real and it's refreshing.
Totally. And one of the ways she does this is by talking about Black hair.
Oh yeah, that chapter in the book, it's like a must read. If you want to understand how Black women feel about their hair, the history, the pressure, it's all there.
She covers everything from childhood memories of getting her hair braided to like feeling like she had to straighten it to fit in with these like Eurocentric beauty standards.
So many Black women can relate to that, We've all gotten those messages, subtle or not, about what's considered beautiful when it comes to our hair.
It's a journey.
It is, and it's about taking back your story, deciding what beauty means to you, and seeing Rae embrace her natural hair. It's powerful stuff.
And it's not like she pretends it was easy either. She talks about the awkward phases, the bad hair days, the moments of like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
It makes her story even more relatable.
Speaking of inspiration, we got to talk about Rae's path as a creative person. I mean, think about it. She wrote a script for The Cosby Show when she was just 11. And then creating her own web series, breaking into Hollywood, her story shows how passionate and determined she is.
She definitely didn't have it easy. She faced rejection, setbacks, the whole 9 yards. But she never gave up on telling those authentic stories about the Black experience.
It's like a reminder that success isn't this straight line, you know? There are going to be bumps in the road, doubts, you name it. But you got to keep pushing, keep creating, keep believing.
And she's very clear that it's not just about like making it in Hollywood. It's about going after what you're passionate about, whatever that is.
And not letting anyone tell you what you can or can't do.
Absolutely. And another important point she makes, success doesn't happen in a bubble. She talks about mentors, about people working together, the people who helped her find her voice.
It's true. We need people in our corner, you know, family, friends, mentors, colleagues. They can make all the difference.
Totally agree. Now, going back to Rae's relationship with her father, we talked about how complicated it was, but there was also this deep love and connection there.
Oh, definitely. It struck me how much her father supported her creative side. Even if he didn't always get what she was doing or why, he was always there.
It just shows that parents can show support in different ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to look the same. Sometimes it's just being there, listening without judging, and believing in your kid.
And sometimes it's about pushing them, even if it means getting out of their comfort zone. Like Rae's dad encouraged her to take risks, to be different, and to not be scared of messing up.
It's a good lesson, isn't it? Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the journey.
Totally. It's about learning from your mistakes, getting back up, and trying again. And Rae's story, it's all about resilience.
It's inspiring how she doesn't let the fear of failure stop her. She sees it as part of creating, part of life.
Which brings us back to this idea of awkwardness, which is like at the heart of Rae's story. She owns it, you know? She even turns it into something funny and strong.
I love how she embraces it. It's like she's saying, it's okay to be awkward. It's okay to not have it all figured out, to still be figuring things out.
It's a message we can all relate to. I mean, haven't we all had those moments where we felt awkward, out of place?
It's part of being human.
Okay.
And Rae reminds us that it's fine to embrace those parts of ourselves, to laugh at ourselves and find the funny side of things.
And those funny mishaps, sometimes they lead to amazing adventures. Like remember her trip to Senegal?
Oh, yeah. Talk about a culture shock. Navigating those markets in Dakar, dealing with power going out, the language barrier, it was wild.
It was, but it was also eye-opening for Rae. Connecting with her roots, experiencing a different culture, it gave her a whole new perspective.
And it reminded her about getting out of her comfort zone, trying new things, and being open to whatever comes her way.
This feels like a good place to pause. We've covered a lot, but there's still more to uncover.
You're right. There's still more to Rae's story. We'll be right back to finish up our conversation about the misadventures of awkward Black girl. We're back, wrapping up our deep dive into Issa Rae's The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. We've talked about so much, her journey with her identity, relationships, family, her creative side. But honestly, what sticks with me is just how open and real she is in this book.
It's not every day you read a book by a successful Black woman who's willing to show those like not so perfect parts of herself. The insecurities, the doubts, it just makes her story so much more powerful, you know?
It's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to be a little awkward. It's okay to not have everything figured out.
And it's okay to not fit into what society expects, you know? Like, you get to define what success means to you, what beauty means to you. You write your own story, even if it's messy or unexpected.
Exactly. And what's so great is how she does all of this with humor. She doesn't shy away from the hard stuff, but she makes you laugh while she's making you think.
It's a gift, honestly. Humor can break down walls, you know? It helps us talk about things, think about things in a different way. And Rae uses it so well to talk about race, gender, identity, all those important topics.
It's like she's inviting us into this conversation, but without all the pressure and judgment that usually comes with it.
It's about creating a space where we can understand each other, empathize, and even laugh together, even when things are tough.
And I think that's a big takeaway from this book. Life is messy, it throws curveballs, and it's often awkward, but there's also joy, humor, and these like unexpectedly beautiful moments.
And we don't have to have all the answers, right? We can just embrace the journey, the good and the bad, knowing we're not alone in this.
So well said. I feel like we've only just dipped our toes into this book, and my mind is already racing. It's definitely one I'll be coming back to.
Me too. It's one of those books I think everyone should read, no matter who you are or what you've been through. There's something in there for everybody.
I'm with you on that. Now, for our listeners who are like ready to explore more books by Black authors, what are some you'd recommend?
Oh, so many. If you like fiction, check out The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, Homegoing by Yaog Yassi, or Queen Sugar by Natalie Bazile. Those are some good ones.
All amazing choices. And for nonfiction, I highly recommend Heavy, an American memoir by Keys Lamont, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Redefining Realness by Janet Mock.
See, so many great books, not enough time. But that's what's great about reading, right? You get to see the world through someone else's eyes, explore different ideas, and connect with people in a way you wouldn't otherwise.
It's true. As we wrap up this deep dive into Issa Rae's The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, we want to leave you with this. What are some books by Black authors that have made you think differently, made you laugh, or helped you see the world in a new way?
Share your pics with us, on social media or on our website. We love hearing from you.
And that's it for this episode of Witter. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time. Happy reading, everyone.